The Washington Commanders have a lot to be optimistic about.
It is my pleasure to formally introduce the new owner of the team and managing partner of the Commanders, Josh Harris.
And I must admit, despite being a Dallas Cowboy fan, this team is definitely trending upward.
How you doing?
Good, man.
It's good.
So glad you're
too.
here. I appreciate it, man.
But unfortunately, it seems like a mistake that was quite literally made within the past year just repeated itself.
We can be eliminated.
Yeah, if the Packers beat the Vikings, then you guys are eliminated.
And if the Washington Commanders don't fix this, it could sabotage them in the future.
Players had to kind of adapt to that.
Yeah, I mean, they have.
But before we get to the content, we're doing a huge giveaway for Madden 24. We're doing the giveaway on Twitter. All you have to do is retweet the tweet in the description down below and follow me on Twitter. But in addition to that, we're going to be posting codes when the game comes out on my Instagram story and on my Snapchat story. And I don't have that many friends on Snapchat, so that might be your best bet. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is finally back.
That's impossible.
But I'm gonna admit, the preseason is boring as shit. I mean, when the second stringers and third stringers come out, your boy does tend to fall asleep a little bit. But I found a way to make the preseason all the more interesting. Because ladies and gentlemen, we are back! Posting prize picks on the days that there are significant preseason games. Starting from the Hall of Fame game, all the way to the Super Bowl, your boy is going to be making picks on his Instagram story. The picks are free, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram to get them. And if you haven't signed up for prize picks, right now when you use my promo code Mikerophone, you'll double your deposit up to $100. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Quick announcement. This is going to be my last video at this desk. For about 2 weeks, your boy's taking a quick business trip to Miami to meet with some people. I will make sure to keep you guys posted as news comes out. I felt like I should bring it to your attention in the event that you don't see me in suits for a little bit. The Washington Commanders have been the laughingstock of the NFC East and the NFL for the past 2 decades. I mean, ever since Dan Snyder purchased this team, year after year, no matter what move they would make, I would consistently look at the Washington Commanders as a team that was not going to make any noise at all whatsoever in the NFC East, especially when they decided to trade multiple first-round picks for Robert Griffin III. I knew somehow, some way, the Washington at the time would mess that up. But I have to admit, now that they officially sold the team to Josh Harris and an ownership group led by Josh Harris, now that they have an owner that they could be proud of, I think this team is trending upward and they're very close to potentially reliving their glory days. It could either be this year, depending on how Sam Howell develops, or if they have a bad year this year, there's a remarkable quarterback class awaiting them in this year's NFL draft, and they already have some solid pieces. On top of that, they have some wild cards on their team, like the former number 2 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft, Chase Young. If he could have a healthy season alongside that ferocious defensive line that the Washington Commanders have, this team could surprise us. There's a lot up in the air, and a huge component of whether or not this team is going to be successful is none other than Eric Bieniemy. If you guys remember, when the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl this past year, a lot of us were surprised to find out that Eric Bieniemy was leaving the Kansas City Chiefs not to become a head coach of a brand new team, but to become an offensive coordinator of a brand new team. And not only that, he became the offensive coordinator of a team that hasn't had success in over 2 decades, except for 1 year. I don't mean this as disrespect towards the Washington Commanders. It's just historically, if you see a team that is failing year after year after year, at some point you start to point fingers at the organization. And Eric Bieniemy decided to go to a failing organization back when Dan Snyder was still the owner of the team. Immediately, people were calling him out, not necessarily because he's a bad guy, but more because this is career suicide. You go from being the offensive coordinator of Patrick Mahomes and being the head guy that Andy Reid is consulting with on his offense to coaching the Washington Commanders. It's very scary, and there were a lot of individuals that were talking about it in the offseason. Of course, there was some slander from his former running back for a year, LaShawn McCoy.
What's his value? What makes him a good offensive coordinator? See, the problem is a lot of these people that go on social media, oh, he should be the guy for the job. They haven't played there. They're not in the locker room. When the plays are designed, that's Andy Reid. But when I asked about Eric Bieniemy, what makes him good? But he has no real responsibility. Now you go from the Chiefs where you can hide behind Patrick Mahomes.
And although I saw this as LaShawn McCoy attempting to trend, you have to bear in mind that LaShawn McCoy played in his second to last season under Eric Bieniemy, and hell, even Tyreek Hill said that Shady is mad because EB told him to tuck that ball. Tyreek Hill has consistently come to Eric Bieniemy's defense.
When I first got in the league, I was a running back, and EB coached running backs. You feel me? So, like, he made me understand who I was as a player. And to him, it's bigger than football.
And Eric Bieniemy even handled the comments that LaShawn McCoy made like a professional.
LaShawn McCoy is a future Hall of Fame runner, okay? Everybody's entitled to their own position, to their own comments and how they feel. When it's all said and done with, I think that's all I have to say because he's entitled to his own opinion. That's life, okay? You got good, you have bad, you know? It does not impact me in any way because one thing that you learn when you're in this position, you have to learn to eliminate distractions, all right? My job is to focus on the now. Everything outside these walls has no impact on Eric Bieniemy moving forward.
Patrick Mahomes, a individual that many speculated didn't get along with Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if you remember, we made a video over a year ago on a now deleted article in regards to some tension Mahomes and EB may have had during the 2022 season, or the 2022 playoffs rather. And Mahomes would say there should be no questions on how great of a man / coach Bieniemy is. His leadership has a direct impact on the player / person I am today. 10 plus years learning under one of the greatest coaches of all time, and I cannot wait for him to continue to prove doubters wrong.
I mean, EB means the world to me, man. The way he holds me accountable, the way he makes me be great every single day, man. This man's one of a kind, man. He's one of the greatest.
Needless to say, I'm not going to criticize Eric Bieniemy for his decision. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Eric Bieniemy's taking a huge risk here, and he's doing it to improve his credentials. He doesn't want to be the next Matt Nagy. He doesn't want to be just some Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator that goes to another team and then ends up crawling back to Andy Reid when things fail. He wants to prove that he's a really good coach, and one of the best ways you could do that is by going to the Washington football team. Immediately upon the announcement that Eric Bieniemy is joining the Washington football team, you see Terry McLaurin was very excited about it.
How you doing?
Good, bro. It's good.
So glad you're here.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I love what you talk about strain and your expectations. And I don't think you'll have an issue with that with this group. I don't think we really had an issue with effort, but I think that's important. I like that you said that. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. You know, I know all about strain coming from.
I know.
You know,
I see it every day.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here in this situation right now. And I'm gonna lean on you.
Most definitely. Okay? Most definitely. Yes, sir.
But I just appreciate you being here.
Most definitely.
It means a lot.
Most definitely.
Okay?
Yes,
We're gonna
sir.
spend some time together.
Yes, sir.
We'll get this thing going.
Yes, sir.
When it's illegal to start talking
Most
about.
definitely. I'm looking forward to that because I don't mind being Coach Hard. I want those honest conversations, and I want to be a part of the championship. Like,
sir.
I want to taste that. You know what I mean? I think we have some great guys in here. Excited.
Some of us just need to get a little bit more nasty.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, come on. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we'll be all right.
I appreciate you.
I got your number.
So I'll reach out anytime. I'll see you soon.
Now, why am I bringing all of this up? Now, tell me if this sounds familiar. If there's been one thing that has been consistent for the Washington Commanders over the past year, it's the fact that Ron Rivera's comments to the media typically gets him into some trouble. Now, I have tremendous love and respect for Ron Rivera, his achievements as a head coach, what he's overcome in his personal struggles, and what he had to overcome health-wise. I have a lot of love for the man, but at the same time, I have to admit, there are times where you just look at him and say, what the hell are you saying to the media? If you guys remember, Ron Rivera made a very bold move towards the end of last season to start Carson Wentz over Taylor Heineke in a very crucial game for the Washington Commanders, a game where if they would win, they would still be in playoff contention. The Commanders would end up losing the game. Upon the losing of the game, Ron Rivera gave us this gem of an interview.
You said you would talk about quarterback next week. If you guys are eliminated today by what happens at 4 o'clock, is Sam Howell in consideration?
We can be eliminated.
Yeah, if the Packers beat the Vikings, then you guys are eliminated.
Now, you don't have to be a genius to know why this is bad. A head coach should know what's at stake, and that should factor into his decision-making whenever you want to play a quarterback, especially if it's a pivotal game. If you feel like your season's already over, you might go about it in a different direction, as Josh McDaniels did with Derek Carr and starting Jarrett Stidham over Derek Carr. Now, once again, it seems like Ron Rivera got himself and his team into some trouble in what has been a very positive offseason, might I add. I think acquiring Eric Bieniemy Bieniemy was great. I'm hearing great things about Emmanuel Forbes in training camp. I like some of the additions that they made in the offseason, such as bringing in Jacoby Brissett, bringing in Andrew Wiley, Trey Turner is on the roster. Byron Pringle is an individual that has familiarity with Eric Bieniemy. It wasn't a flashy offseason at all whatsoever, but it was a good one. So in the midst of all of this, Ron Rivera decided to take the bait when a reporter asked him if it was difficult for players to adapt to Eric Bieniemy's intensity and whether they have struggled with it at times.
I mean, his intensity. Have players had to kind of adapt to that and have any, I guess, sort of struggled with that at times?
Yeah, I mean, they have.
You see, that's where you know he's already f***ed up. All you had to do is say,
Eric Bieniemy is very demanding and it's making us stronger. The whole team loves Eric Bieniemy.
That's it. Or,
no, they haven't struggled. It's exactly what we needed.
There are so many answers you could have given instead of saying, yeah, they have struggled. Ron Rivera continues to talk and he just keeps digging himself deeper and deeper.
And one of the biggest things is you know, and I had a number of guys come to me and I say, hey, just go talk to him.
Bro, this is not something that you need to tell the media. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. It's great content for me, but you don't need to tell reporters this. I mean, I'm serious. You don't need to tell anybody this. You could just say it's nothing that we can't handle. You could do so many things to completely brush this question off and move on.
I said, understand what he's trying to get across to you, you know, and I think, you know, I think as they go and they talk and they listen to him, it's been enlightening for a lot of these guys. I mean, it's a whole different approach. You know, you get a different kind of player from the players back in the past, especially in light of how things are coming out of college football. So a lot of these young guys, you know, they do struggle with certain things. And a lot of you also got to take for where they've been. I mean, guys coming from certain programs are used to it. Guys come from other programs aren't as much. So, you know, us as a coach, you know, I kind of have to assimilate and get a feel for everybody. You know, Eric has an approach, and it's the way he does things, and he's not going to change. And because he believes in it, Jack has his approach. You know, having been a head coach, I think Jack has a tendency to try and figure guys out a little bit more, as opposed to, hey, this is it, this is the way it's going to be, that type of stuff. Where Eric hasn't had that experience yet.
Here's the ironic part. Right when Ron Rivera gets asked a follow-up question, he answers in the manner that he should have answered to begin with. In my opinion, this is a gigantic nothing burger. I think this is not a big deal. But when Ron Rivera is saying it this way, obviously people are going to be a little bit concerned. Well, what does Eric Bieniemy have to say about the situation? Here it is.
Before it even goes anywhere, I make it the point to address the conversation, because one thing, my job is to be very observant. I got to know the people that I'm discussing and working with. So my job is to address. If there's something that they may have an issue with, please, let's discuss this. Here's the reason why I felt a certain way. Here's why I said it. Now, okay, I put it back on the player. And you got to understand, we're in a grown man's business. We're in a grown man's world. My job is to make sure that I'm doing the best possible job of over-communicating clarity. I take a tremendous amount of pride in that. They also know when I'm getting on them, ain't nothing personal. What's personal is that I want us to win. I expect that particular player to be great at all times. I expect the effort to be a standard that's accepted by all of us. So when you're not reaching that, it's my job to address it. So sometimes they may like the highlights and the praise, but sometimes they may not like it. And I'm perfectly fine with that, because that's my job. Because if I ain't doing my job, my ass get fired. So it's my job and my responsibility to make sure that I'm getting our guys to do what I expect them to do.
Now, just to provide some context, Ron Rivera also talked about Eric Bieniemy getting the team out of their comfort zones.
Loud. The beauty of Eric, and that is, again, it's from the perspective he has. I mean, he's been with an organization that's done differently, and one of the things that, you know, he is very staunch about, you know, the way that he does it, and that's something that's been different. And like I said, you know, I appreciate it because we're out of our comfort zone. We're doing things a little bit differently. You know, I've been doing things for the most part the same way for 12 years, and it's been good. But, you know, this is something that's been different, and it's been good for our guys, I think, as well, because you're starting to have these aha moments. And, we go, okay, I get it. I see what's going on. I see why this is happening. So that's been something I think that's been really good for us as an organization and as a team as far as that's concerned.
So what do I think about this entire situation? Well, I think Ron Rivera needs to be a little bit more careful with what he says to the media. This is the second time the Washington Commanders became a national headline as a result of something ridiculous he said to the media that didn't need to be said. I mean, the first time being the fact that he had no idea that the Commanders were in playoff contention and they had to do a bunch of PR work to spin the story to make it seem like he obviously knew what was going on. And the second being right now, it's not that I think Eric Bieniemy is in trouble or anything like that. It's just I feel like comments like this can make the team distracted. Sometimes people could get their feelings hurt. It seems like Eric Bieniemy took it in stride and it's not that big of a deal. But man, Ron Rivera, come on. You don't need to be saying this. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.